Lesnar's lifted up the ring with Roman Reigns in it.
Wrestling storylines are meticulously crafted to give the audience something new and interesting to look forward to each week. With all the hype they create from their pay-per-views, it pays off spectacularly when they pull off insane and unpredictable feats. Here are 31 OMG moments in the WWE. Number 31, Triple H and The Undertaker. Let's kick off things with the first time Triple H and The Undertaker went toe-to-toe at WrestleMania 27. It was definitely one of the most hotly anticipated matches of the evening and definitely didn't disappoint. With much of the match going in the dead man's favor, it was nice to see a quick turn of events when Triple H landed a spinebuster through the announce table. Number 30, Spear through the table. In their colossal collision at Extreme Rules 2015, Roman Reigns and The Big Show went all out to nail each other to the ground. Being one of the shorter last man standing matches, what it lacked in time, it more than made up for in content. The match culminated with Reigns spearing The Big Show through a table and then using the adjacent table to bury him for good to pick up the victory. Number 29, Super RKO. Next up, we have the match between Christian and Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2011. The two were battling it out for the World Heavyweight title in a no-holds-barred match. It looked like Christian had the upper hand as he climbed to the second turnbuckle to land a corkscrew moonsault. But in classic Viper fashion, Orton caught Christian in an RKO right into the steel steps. Number 28, Becky Lynch heel turn. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair were the best of friends since their days in NXT, but the women's title goes a long way to drive a wedge between a good friendship. At the culmination of their match at SummerSlam 2018, Becky ruthlessly attacked Charlotte after putting on a sympathetic facade. An interesting heel turn to be sure, as it diverted the women's division down a whole new avenue. Number 27, John Cena, the Powerhouse. Undoubtedly, one of the best WWE title defenses came at the main event of WrestleMania 25. To win the match, Cena performed one of the most incredible feats of strength of our time. For a brief moment, he hoisted both the Big Show and Edge onto his shoulders before landing attitude adjustments on both men to win the match. Number 26, CM Punk leaves the company. CM Punk was not happy with the way that the wrestling industry was treating its talent. He made that pretty clear in his pipe bomb promo, where he said elites like John Cena and The Rock get to do nothing and still main event pay-per-views. He was public enemy number one, but with his contract about to expire, he had nothing to lose. At Money in the Bank 2011, he beat John Cena for the WWE title and left the company with its most prestigious title. Number 25, Brock Lesnar's return. After becoming one of the biggest names in the UFC world, Brock Lesnar needed to cool down a bit, and what better way to do that than by returning to the WWE ring? His arrival in 2012 was greeted by one of the biggest crowd chants ever. The fact that he planted John Cena with an F5 only made them erupt even louder. Number 24, Monster Kiss. Have you guys ever heard of Viscera, otherwise known as Big Daddy? Why they called him that is honestly beyond me, but if I were to make a guess, it would probably be because of his calm demeanor with the ladies. I'm not sure if they found him attractive or just too scared to refuse him outright. Either way, he had his way with the ladies. Number 23, a low blow by Vince McMahon. Low blows are typical for wrestlers to use against each other, which is why it was strange to see one being used by a corporate executive. Vince opted to use this against the big dog on an episode of Monday Night Raw, to make his feelings for the babyface crystal clear right after he fired him. Let's just agree that Vince McMahon is the biggest heel in and out of the ring. Number 22, the Beast brutalizes the Viper. Brock Lesnar is able to get away with a lot of misdemeanors on account of being one of the biggest faces in the WWE. But at SummerSlam 2016, he took it a bit far. When he was facing off against the Viper, Brock became unhinged and pummeled the Viper with vicious elbow strikes that left him broken and beaten in the center of the ring. And this was the PG era, and Orton was not supposed to bleed. That's what happens when you let the beast incarnate loose. Number 21, Trish Stratus gets mopped. Everyone remembers the infamous bark like a dog segment, but that was just one notch in the belt for Vince's twisted games with Trish Stratus in the early 2000s. After he realized he didn't want to play with the bombshell anymore, Vince and his daughter Stephanie humiliated her by forcing her into a mop bucket. Number 20, Last Man Standing. Okay, well, technically the match between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair at WWE Evolution 2018 was a last woman standing match, but it was exhilarating nonetheless. Charlotte was looking to put Becky through a table using a backflip splash, but Becky quickly recuperated to powerbomb Charlotte through the table instead, leaving her in pain and agony. Number 19, Goldberg beats Brock Lesnar. Ever since his return, Brock Lesnar has been a force to be reckoned with. That was until he went up against Goldberg. 2 spears and a jackhammer later, and Brock Lesnar was out cold. This allowed Goldberg to pick up the win in less than 2 minutes. This was one of the most extreme Survivor Series moments, and definitely something no one expected. Number 18, John Cena beats The Rock. John Cena had never had much success stealing The Rock's finishers. At WrestleMania 28, he lost the match on account of trying to land the People's Elbow, but he wasn't to be deterred. The next year, he managed to successfully steal The Rock's moves, planting The Rock with the Rock Bottom to win the match and redeem himself. Number 17, Shane versus The Undertaker. This may be the greatest leap or fall anyone has ever seen in the WWE. Shane McMahon is known for pulling off extremely risky maneuvers to beat his foes, but none of them were as bold or perhaps stupid as his dive at WrestleMania 32 in a match against The Undertaker. He dove off the top of the Hell in a Cell cage and landed square on the announcer's table. Fortunately, no one was home. Hats off to the guy for literally risking his life in the name of entertainment. Number 16, F5 to Heyman. Brock Lesnar has always had Paul Heyman by his side, until of course he started to work for Roman Reigns. When the two Goliaths collided at WWE SummerSlam 2022, the Beast reunited with his former manager with a less than enthusiastic gesture, an F5 through the announcer's table. Number 15, Brock beats Kofi Kingston. Remember when we tried to give Kofi Kingston a push only to have him face Brock Lesnar and be pushed back to the mid-card? I mean, why didn't they even give him a pay-per-view? Brock just beat him on an episode of SmackDown and walked away with the championship. That was one very short-lived title reign. Number 14, Bella's Family Feud. At SummerSlam 2014, we saw Brie Bella face off against Stephanie McMahon. But due to intervention from Triple H, she wasn't able to pin the chairman's daughter. That's when Nikki slid in to help her twin sister out. Or did she? In one of the biggest heel turns of the year, Nikki landed a strong forearm upside Brie's head, allowing Stephanie to pick up the win. Number 13, Lana kisses Lashley. Lana had an open affair with Rusev's rival Bobby Lashley back in 2019. More than an actual relationship, this was just a way for the femme fatale to get back at her husband. The Almighty One and the Ravishing Russian shared a moment of passion on the ramp as Rusev looked on. Number 12, The Rock hosts WrestleMania 27. The Rock left the WWE to make a career in Hollywood, which would also set the trend for other superstars to do the same. But deep down, his Samoan roots were still in the professional wrestling business. And he came back to Raw to announce that he would be hosting WrestleMania 27. He was greeted by one of the loudest crowd cheers in WWE history. Number 11, Shane McMahon goes coast to coast. In the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match, SmackDown's Shane McMahon had Raw's Roman Reigns sitting in a corner. McMahon climbed to the top rope on the opposite side to land his coast-to-coast. But before he could, Reigns quickly got to his feet and planted him with a spear, knocking him out in the process. He regained consciousness and made his way backstage to recuperate. Number 10. Seth Rollins cashes in. Love him or hate him, Seth Rollins was one of the best heels in WWE history. And his antagonism was made all the more impactful when he became the WWE Champion at WrestleMania 31 after cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. No one in the history of the company had been bold enough to cash in at the main event of WrestleMania, which is why no one expected it. Number 9. Dean Ambrose turns on Seth Rollins. Shortly after their title defense at WWE Evolution, the team of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were celebrating when Ambrose decided to give Rollins a taste of his own medicine. The lunatic Fringe unleashed a stunning assault on his brother-in-arms and turned heel while the two were still tag team champs. Number 8. Brock Lesnar and John Cena's feud. Brock Lesnar has the uncanny ability to summon the entire locker room at will. This is because he is the only superstar dangerous enough that Vince thinks it's necessary to call in the cavalry. Though this has happened numerous times over the years, none were better than the time he made his return in the April of 2012 to challenge John Cena. It took the entire locker room to keep these two apart, and even then, it was a struggle. Number 7. The return of Edge. There were rumors that the Rated R superstar would be returning to action after his retirement, but no one knew exactly when. That question was answered at the 2020 Royal Rumble, when Edge shocked the WWE Universe with a surprise entrance and immediately went on the attack, unleashing a barrage of spears in the process. Number 6. A Randy Orton low blow. Randy Orton is known for his spontaneity. His match against Shawn Michaels is a testament to that. With Shawn priming for sweet chin music, he expected a clean sweep, but was instead met with a forearm between the legs. Ouch! He may be called the Heartbreak Kid, but I think he may have broken something else there too. Number 5. The Shield Implodes. You know that on a list like this, we have to address the elephant in the room. We have to mention the Shield's implosion. It's the iconic moment that put an end to one of the most prolific teams in WWE history. Seth Rollins turned his back on his brothers and changed the entire course of wrestling forever. Number 4. Orton sets fire to the Fiend. Randy Orton has been in his share of crazy matches, but none rival the intensity of his match against The Fiend at the 2020 TLC pay-per-view. The only way to win was to set your opponent on fire, and after a grueling and brutal match between the two, Orton managed to pull it off and end the match with a flaming RKO. Number 3. John Cena's return. Okay, by this point, everyone knows that John Cena is something of a freelancer when it comes to wrestling. The part-timer made yet another return at the culmination of Money in the Bank 2021. After Roman Reigns defeated the Rated R superstar, he was about to cut a promo before he was interrupted by John Cena's music. Cena seemed more than elated to be back, and greeted Reigns with a "You can't see me" before the pay-per-view went off the air. Number 2. Ending the streak. Countering the tombstone is difficult, but evidently not impossible. Brock Lesnar managed to pull it off at WrestleMania 30's most iconic moment. After a beaten and broken Undertaker caught Brock for another tombstone piledriver, Lesnar shifted his weight backwards and hoisted the 300-pounder onto his shoulders to land his third F5 and end the undefeated streak. And coming in at number 1, Brock lifts the ring. The main event of the night was the grandest spectacle of them all. Brock Lesnar pulled up to the ring in his tractor for his last man standing match against Roman Reigns. The tractor had loomed ominously outside the ring until Brock used it to uproot the ring and raise it 15 feet into the air. This bizarre move rendered the ring unusable, and the remainder of the match proceeded outside the ring. Hey, that's it for this one, folks. If you've got any other moments, make sure to let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like to show me some love, and as always, ring that bell icon for more great content like this.